Hi guys, today we're going to talk about watches that are still undervalued in 2025. Watches that I stop and buy for many reasons as a dealer because I know they're really cool and they're really good. Not only are they not trending right now, but they are future classics. Not in terms of value, not in terms of whatever you might think. It is because their classic and timeless design is just unbreakable, and they will never make those watches ever again. After handling thousands of watches, going to different shows and different meets, I can basically pinpoint those watches that are really special. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you about them. I'm gonna tell you what to buy, what to avoid with them as well. In many cases right now, people are always looking for the same watches. And yet there's so much to discover, and you're gonna get much more for your money than something that is really hyped up or very sought after right now. As always, my name is Chris. I created this channel to share my love for vintage watches, and welcome back to Time Merchants. A reminder, if you do find today's video interesting and informative, please be sure to like and subscribe. For more videos on vintage watches told with curiosity, integrity, and decades of hand-on experience. It's not impressive to spend money. It's impressive to actually have someone that took the time and did his due diligence to buy something that doesn't scream money but screams knowledge. Everyone in the industry is basically looking at the top tier watches, and that's a big mistake. There are so many other things and the big pyramid of watches where the top ones are always in the highlights and everything else is disregarded. And for many people, I would say that they disregard the mass-produced watches. But in all those mass-produced watches, you do have similar quality movements for most of them, and you have a variety of really cool pieces out there, different dials, different designs, different cases, and so on and so forth, that will make your mind go boom. Why? Because you have so many choices, and then it's becoming, yes, a bit more difficult to choose, but that's what's cool about vintage watches. There's so many things that were made, so many things that were developed and improved over the years that are really different from the mainstream watches. It's very easy to go for the GMT, but why not go with the original design from the 1950s, 1940s, 60s, or 70s from your favorite brand? Even today, companies are still trying to reproduce that golden era of their designs. And not only are they trying, they're succeeding with really great results. I'm going to show you later one piece that is part of that category that is reproducing what they used to make. A lot of those pieces that were also bought back in the time happen to be very worn. And if you're looking at Constellations or Seamasters, which were produced in very big quantities, very few of them actually got in today's market that are really good. There's a lot of them, but very few really good ones. So that's why I'm going to start with the Seamaster. I'm going to say that it's really the underdog of the company. Omega has been producing them for a very long time, and they have been making them in so many different variants. You have the Seamaster DeVille, you have the regular Seamasters, you have the calendar ones from the 1950s, early 60s. You're going to have different sizes, and then you're going to have the sports produced ones that everyone knows, with little variants like the Seamaster 60, the Seamaster 120, and then to the 300 one, that everyone knows. But the most important part is to go and look at their variants in the 34, 35, 36 millimeters in stainless steel, gold-plated, gold top, or 14 karat gold or 18 karat gold. Those are really cool watches. They're really classic. A lot of people rave about getting a Calatrava from Patek or something really classy, yet those incarnate everything that you want about something that is just timeless in every single point. You have really simple markers on a lot of them. On some of them, you're gonna have different color of dials and so on and so forth. You're never gonna go wrong with one of those watches. I have one here. This is a blue dial. I spoke about it in a different video. I'm not here to make a publicity about what I have for sale, but to give you choices. Therefore, you have that one lineup of the brand that's basically disregarded by a lot of people. Why? Because they're not worth a lot of money. Some of them are going to be worth a lot of money because of how rare they are. But in general, you're going to have a lot of quality for the price. A lot of them are way under $2,000, even under $1,500 US, even if they have the bracelet, even if they have a really cool dial, and you're going to have a great choice among them. If you're looking bang for the buck, you're going to have the same movement, similar dial than a sports watch. That's applicable to Rolex, that's applicable to many other brands, yet you just have something that is high quality for a very, very good price because of that high quantity or high produced quantity of watches that were out there. And not only this one, I've seen so many, and now it's very hard to find them because people are collecting them, but no one talks about them. And for me, it's something that should be put really in front out there, not only for the quality, but also for the fact that we're basically creating the future of watchmaking for the vintage watches, and respecting those watches and bringing them back to the market is something that's very important for the history of the brand. And when those are going to be more highly regarded, they will actually be even rarer to find. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not a very, very expensive watch. It is a cool watch, something that you should start with if you don't have a lot of money, something that, you know, is, I'd say for a lot of people, they're gonna go for a watch that is more modern, something that maybe reproduces the higher end brands or reproduces the pattern, yet you have something here that's unique, that each one of them has a different pattern on the dial. Some of them are gonna turn in crazy colors, and some of them are having tropical dials. Very interesting, very variable, and that's what you get with an Omega Seamaster. Second watch that is really important and highly disregarded by a lot of people, including everyone that's new to the market of buying vintage watches, is the Universal Geneve. Everyone knows about the pole router, but there's so many other things that are really important out there, notably the white shadow, which is basically the same movement as the pole router, even thinner. And then you have some manual winds, you have everything from the 40s, including, I have one here, which is a with the caliber 281, but it's basically a UG. And every single point, from the pushers, the crown, the movement, the hands, everything is Universal Geneve. The only thing that is not is just the name on the dial and the name on the bridge of the 281 movement. That makes it really cool and different. Again, if you don't want to spend a ton of money on Universal Geneves, you're gonna have a lot to dig in. There's so many different books about that. I do have a book upstairs that talks about different models. I think they made like thousands of different models with different references. I wouldn't be able to actually name them all, and it's very difficult, but everyone is looking always for the same things: the tri-compacts, the unit compacts, the moon phase tri-compacts, the aero compacts, the space compacts in different variants, and then you have the divers variant as well. Everyone knows those, but you still have a lot of watches out there by UG that are way under $1,500, especially the white shadow, very classic. And if you're looking for specific ones, you're also going to have integrated bracelets as well. I believe in those. The mesh bracelets are really cool. I don't have any right now, but when I did, I had some new old stock ones. They look fabulous, and back then I sold them for peanuts, under $500-600 back then, and they were new old stock. I had trouble selling them. That's how much the market is disregarding those different models. And right now, with the fact that a lot of people are looking more and more into the classics of the 1970s, 1980s, I think just going a bit before that with the white shadow, I think it's one of the best choices from UG for the price. The next watch that I'm going to talk about is something that's really important to me. I used to have over 30 of them in my personal collection. Now I'm really down to just a few. And it's the Tudor Prince oyster dates in, different variants. You have 32 millimeters, 34s, you have some 33s in different cases. And what's cool about them is that, again, Tudor has been known so far for their Submariners, for the Monte Carlo, for everything else but those that are really the most important watches out there. And I'm gonna put it straight once again, Tudor and Rolex and the classic models are making way more than any sports models out there. Yet the sports models are the ones that are very, very, very much in demand, and the ones that are mass produced a lot less. What's cool about the Tudors, they are basically the trial company of Rolex. They're trying for many, many, many decades right now to do something different. In general, what you're gonna have with Tudor is everything from the bracelet, the case, the crown, the dial, the hands, are all either made by Rolex or with the same kind of quality that different brands would make for them. If you're looking at Zinger dials, at Bayer dials, at the hands, everything was made in the same factories at the same specs as Rolex. The only difference is you have different color patterns, you have different designs in the markers, you have different designs in the hands, and that became a bit of a test when Tudor was making all those different watches. Again, you have so many choices, so many colors, and they even made some gold-plated or gold-capped bracelets. They made different gold-capped cases as well. Rolex only did a few. Tudor did a lot more, and that's what's cool about them. You're gonna have the same 2483 in a 34 millimeter watch made by ETA for the Tudors. So the quality is not less. There's nothing lesser in terms of the watch itself. The only difference is really the price. And now again, you're gonna have different cases, different dials. Right here, I've never seen this one before. This one is gray with the small rose. I believe it most probably mid 60s. I didn't check it out yet. This is going to be serviced. Then you have the classic 7995 or 7990 right here. I don't even need to check what it is. I know them by heart when it comes to those. This one was my first watch when I started collecting, and this was my first high-end watch. Back then they were like $500-600 US. Now they're a bit more, about double that, maybe a bit more than that. But again, condition, bracelet, so on and so forth, and you have the same quality as Rolex at a minimal price versus what we find today. The one notable and interesting watch that you're gonna find in the Tudors as well is the famous day date. Watch out, there's a lot of fakes with those, but you're gonna see the rotor that's different. The dials have different little defects versus the real ones, but those are also very interesting because they do share the same case as the 1019 Rolex, which is the Milgauss. So you have a Milgauss case because they were not able to sell the Milgausses, so they used the cases to actually make something else, and that was the day date. So you have a much higher end or much pricier case on hands with a day date feature or movement. I do have parts for those which are really hard to find. I managed to find them overseas, but I do have some parts for them, so I'm not afraid of buying them and restoring those day date watches when they come through my hands. They're really cool. They're bigger, 37.5 or 37.3 millimeters more or less. You have the 70 series, 7017, 7019, 7021, and so on and so forth. You have some with gold bezels. Most of them are coming with stainless steel bezels, and those are amazing for everyone that's looking for something bigger than a Datejust 36 in the vintage. That's the only choice that you have, might it be in Rolex or Tudor. You're gonna have the Milgauss with the Rolex or the Tudor day date and the 37.3, 37.5 millimeters. Well, that's what's cool, is that when you're looking for something in those companies, you always have those underdogs that don't reflect what the company was really capable of and what their design really was about. It was to actually reach people with good quality watches for a good affordable price. So that's why I think that the Tudor oyster prints is very important and very affordable as well, even today, versus the quality that everyone offers in today's market. I just think they're just way under what they should really be worth right now. The biggest underdog of all is Longines, and many big collectors are quietly collecting the high-end pieces. Yet anything from Longines right now is really cool and way cheap. That's the secret. The reason is a lot of people think that Longines is a bit boring. They know that they were bought by Chinese companies previously. Now they're owned by the Swatch Group. Obviously, it's much better. But for a long time, Longines was very high end, and their quality of the movements is unparalleled compared to anything else out there, really by far. I'm not going to talk about the 13ZN or the 30CH movements, which are really sought after. I'm not going to talk about those. I'm going to talk about classic watches that they were making back in the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. And again, everything is in-house. Everyone brags about how much an in-house movement is really valuable and so on and so forth. Yet back then, everything Longines ever made was always in-house. Everything that they were making back then was so qualitatively high that you couldn't compare them to anyone else. Maybe Universal Geneve, but Universal Geneve was not so much of a volume seller. I think that Longines sold way more watches back then, and the quality was really good. If you're looking at everything that they made, from the military watches to their classic flagship, and that's where I wanted to go with the brand as well. If you're looking at the flagship by Longines, they redid a lot of the heritage models, and I think that this is where they really shine today. Everything that they used to make, now they're making them bigger, they're modernizing them. Do I think that the quality is there? Yes, I do. They use ETA movements in here, really cool little pieces. They're way under $2,000 US, even brand new, and you're getting everything that you ever dreamed of from a watch. Yet they tanked. You're gonna lose a lot of money if you're buying them full retail. So if you wait a bit or you try and get a bit of a discount, you're gonna get a great price on something that's very good. I think that Longines overall has been producing amazing designs from the 50s, the 60s. If you're digging in a bit, you're gonna find a lot of different variants, a bit like the Seamasters, a bit like the Tudors. They were mass produced, they were meant to be worn, and a lot of those watches are obviously damaged. You're gonna see a lot of redials, you're gonna see a lot of problems with those as well. But if you dig in a bit, you do a bit of research, you're gonna see really good examples for way cheap. And if you look at auctions on eBay, you're gonna see some really good masterpieces for little to no money compared to what people or what collectors are really going for today. It's one of those unappreciated brands for many reasons, and I do understand from the fact that they were trying to find themselves for well over maybe 10-15 years, but now I think they have the right path. And despite them making what they used to make back then, I think that the originals are just as good, if not better, and you're gonna get something unique compared to all the other collectors out there. To finish off, I'd say if you're curious, you're gonna find a lot of really cool 32, 34, 36 millimeter watches that are from every single brand back from the 40s through the 60s and the 70s. And again, look for condition, look for good dials, look for something that speaks to you personally. Don't get bothered by what people might say. Your watch might be part of the future hype for future watches that people are looking for. And again, even if it's not, you're the one buying it, you're the one enjoying it, you're the one having it on the wrist. It is really stupid to think that the influence that you have around you is going to be deciding what you're going to be wearing on the wrist. And that's what I see a lot of the times people just want a Rolex because everyone has one, because everyone thinks that this is the end game in the watch collecting, or they think that that watch is going to change their lives in many ways. For some people, you know, it might be, but in many cases, a nice little watch that really is different, that's really unique, is also going to catch my eye, and I'm going to be looking at it on the spot. I'm going to ask people, hey, what do you have? What's on your wrist? Even with seeing thousands of watches or tens of thousands of watches in a year, my Instagram, my YouTube, everywhere I look, it's all about watches. I'm really, really curious all the time. And yet there's always that one piece that really strikes your eye, and you will always be amazed by what's out there. And that's what's cool. That's why we're collecting. Every single watch out there is really, really interesting. Side note, the last two watches that are really, really disregarded, and it's the Omega constellations with the integrated bracelets. What do you have here? You have an automatic movement and an integrated bracelet watch. Really famous design by Omega. They came up with this design back in the 80s. I think that this is something that they should have pushed a lot more. They haven't. It's a bit sad. There were, you know, so 1990s, so early 2000s, and right now not so much. But I think that you have something here that's not quite vintage but almost vintage, or let's put them neo vintage, and you have something that's really, really interesting. They are really sturdy. I like the fact that the case and the bracelet, they never really, you know, fall apart like any vintage Rolex. Only problem, especially with something like this, for example on this one at the buckle, I had it laser welded. The result is even better than original. So this is already on the website. It's really, really good. I find that for many people out there, this is something that is a good everyday watch, and I have nothing else to say than look it up. There's so many different models. You have different limited editions. You have, I believe, in the ladies, the My Choice. I've had those quite a few times. You have diamond dials, diamond bezels are on some of them. You want a geezer watch that's affordable. Some of you who know what geezer watches are, they're those really quirky little watches that are so different that no one really looks at. And I think that those are going to be the future classics from Omega, despite the fact that everyone knows the Seamaster 300, the Speedmaster, and all their limited editions and different variants. I think that this is just as good, if not should be actually put more on a pedestal than it really was in the past maybe 10 or 15 years. To finish off, I'd say that any of those watches are not cheap. Okay, they're not cheaply made watches in any way, and that's why when I talked about cheaply made watches, how you should avoid them, how you should actually just look at something else, that's what I was talking about. You have different watches out there that are just outside of this world in terms of quality, including, I'm just going to showcase more watches. I have so many here on my desk. I talked even about tags. Okay, tags are kind of cheaply made in terms of quality versus price, but if you look at what they're doing right now, the retail price versus what you can find on the secondary market, you're gonna have crazy bargains. This is under $500 US, by the way, and this here is under $700 US. Same thing here, it's the Indy 500 by Tag, and it's the Formula One with the limited edition. Really cool, almost looks like a carbon fiber type of dial. Super cool stuff. You have that balance that's really cool in certain brands that kind of settles after 10-15 years, and that's what Tag is all about. You know, they do have expensive watches today that are quartz, and I find them way overpriced, but in their lineup that they used to make 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, they're just fabulous, and you're gonna have every single quality piece that you want for much less. A lot of it is highly misunderstood because of what YouTube, TikTok, all of the new media is talking about watches as if the new blingy thing is the ultimate new thing, and it's going to repeat itself the next year or the next 6 months or the next 3 months with a lot of those brands. And that's really sad to see, because we tend to forget what was made 20, 30, 50, or maybe even close to 100 years ago that is still very, very, very good. and yet you're gonna pay much less than what you're gonna get for today with your hard-earned money. The balance is very, very hard to achieve for many companies, because if you put a lot of publicity, you're going to cheap down on the production cost. If your production cost is very, very high, yet you don't have the means to do the publicity, you're going to get the over engineered watch that no one really understands. And that's kind of the balance that everyone tries to achieve. Rolex achieved it perfectly. They have that perfect type of margin, retail, distribution, everything is really perfect, and that's where they're really good. But a lot of companies will never achieve that perfection in marketing and distribution and retailing all those watches. Therefore, you have to understand that vintage is a really, really cool open market. I might not be the cheapest, I might not have the perfect piece you're looking for, but at least with what I'm telling you, you might have a look elsewhere, maybe in Europe, maybe in Asia, maybe in South America, where you're gonna find something that suits you perfectly. Again, we're limited in Canada with the inventory that I'm getting. I cannot import everything. I have so many phone calls every single day of people that are trying to sell me a watch. Again, doesn't mean we're agreeing on the price or we're agreeing on the quality of the pieces all the time, but I'm trying to find really cool pieces and separate the good from the bad. Overall, I think that this is what I'm doing, but a lot of people out there are looking for a bargain. There's so many things out there that you can do with a bit of research, looking on eBay, looking on different marketplaces all over the world, and I'm not pushing you to buy anything from me. Again, I'm not doing publicity here with my videos. Obviously, you have a lot of questions. Some people do message me and I do try to respond to emails and so on and so forth. I'm really busy running the store. I'm really busy, selling watches. Obviously, I'm trying to answer to every single one of those emails, but I'd say the easiest way, if you want for everyone to appreciate my answers as well, please comment what your questions might be about those watches, about anything you might want to ask. I will reply in my video next week. I'm gonna choose a couple of comments that are about anything and everything. If you did like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Thank you guys. Have a great one. Hi there. Before you take off, I just want to take a second and say that I really appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. I am so grateful for this incredible watch community, so thank you for being part of it. If you want to help the channel continue to grow, one of the easiest things you can do is leave a like on this video and consider subscribing.